Independence Live here.
I know you were.
Oh, you know as well, do you? Hear that? See, Craig knows as well, so, you know, £1 a month, right? 15 quid to get a return ticket for Glasgow. Help, okay? Craig, yeah, brilliant to meet you. I've read your blogs plenty of times, you know, and shared your anger. So, I mean, you said today, you know, House of Lords, you know, all the guys, no campaign, they're all heading to the House of Lords now, isn't it? What a disgraceful organisation in this day of mass poverty and, you know, sanctioning.
It's appalling. They've no shame at all. You know, they really, really don't care. They may be sitting there getting a 300 quid a day for doing nothing in particular, while there are people, you know, who really don't have enough to eat. I was at a meeting yesterday on the universities, which was interesting, and on university democracy, and essentially the average university principal, that every university principal in Scotland earns over £300,000 a year now. Over £300,000 a year, but university secretaries all on over £200,000.
What?
You know, and the way these people are rewarding themselves, it's just ludicrous. The sort of fat cat competition.
It's this corporate greed stuff, isn't it? I mean, it really is. And
it's got into the public sector now as well. You know, it's just absolutely horrible. And I don't know who wants to live in this kind of society. It's really strange to me.
And you know, the mainstream media plays its part, massive part in this. This, you know.
And today, because I'm like most people nowadays, I don't buy newspapers anymore. And I seldom read newspapers. But I was staying in a hotel, and the hotel had all the papers, so I was going through them today. And just the sort of hatred and vitriol towards the SNP, the sarcasm.
It's still going on.
It was just every newspaper was the same. And it's also amazing how they're trying to promote Labour in Scotland, and the same newspapers are trying to kill Labour in England at the same time, which is really, really
it's all weird. It's the Alice in Wonderland stuff.
Yeah. And the real difference between Labour and Tory is very, very small.
Yeah.
You know, the difference in Labour are going to make exactly the same cuts in austerity cuts in the budget, but they're going to make it over 18 months longer, which makes no difference to anyone, frankly.
Could you imagine, like, the Daily Record up here, if they were to actually publish that? This is what actually the Labour Party are going to do. But you know, that's got its readership market. You know, if people got something that more the truth of what was going on there.
Well, one thing which I'm quite sure of is that, I mean, I think what you do is very important on Independence Live, and I think the whole social media aspect is terrifically important for changing society. And that's one thing we've discovered in Scotland, is that so many people no longer believe the mainstream media, and it's no longer a small percentage of society. You know, you've got pretty well half of society who realise that the mainstream media is nonsense and full of lies and it's propaganda, and that's a big change. And you can't put that back in the box. Well, you know, once people have seen it, they've seen it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think probably, and people are talking of that no voters were overwhelmingly older people. That the only age group which had a majority no vote was people over 55. And I think probably that isn't actually to do with people getting more conservative as they get older or being worried about their pensions. I think much more likely is that less people in that age group use social media. They are the people who still get their news from the newspapers and from the BBC.
And more likely to believe the BBC.
And of course there are people in that age group who do use social media, but less of them. And I think probably the ones in that age group who do use social media are much more likely to be those who voted yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely, totally agree with that.
And there's been no polling on that. I'd be interested to see that. But
same here.
But that's where all of us who are involved in, if you like, independent media, have a vital part to play in making us change in society.
I don't know if you've seen the George Monbiot interview we did. It was a Skype live stream conversation with him. It wasn't too long. And I'll give you a few of his quotes, right? I hate the BBC. My industry is totally corrupt. The Guardian lost its way. Right, George Monbiot. You know.
Well, you see, I've actually become quite radical on this, in that I'm not sure that you need a traditional state broadcaster at all.
Same here. I'm like, I don't think we do either.
No.
You know.
I think, you know, if I can see the things people like about the BBC, which might be some drama output or the Scottish Symphony Orchestra, you could do that through Creative Scotland or whatever. You don't need the BBC to do that, and then it could go onto independent platforms. Whereas journalism and news is much better done by citizen journalism and real investigative journalism. Whereas the BBC is just a state property. We don't need, and I don't want to see either a nationalist-controlled state propaganda either. We just don't need state propaganda. Let's just close the organisation down. That seems to be a much better way forward.
I mean, the reason I used to be so keen in the BBC was, to counter the Rupert Murdoch empire. But now it's just my eyes have been opened up to the fact that no.
Well, weirdly enough, for quite a long period, I actually think that Sky News has been less biased than the BBC, and that's. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's very easy to be less biased than the BBC, but and not just on the Scotland debate. On, for example, Israel, I saw Sam Kiley of Sky News said that Israel was becoming an apartheid state. And he's their security reporter. He said that quite straightforwardly. Israel is developing into an apartheid state. Now, the BBC reporter said that, he'd be sacked.
Absolutely.
You sometimes get a little bit more truth coming out on Sky than you do on the BBC. I think we have to go.
I need to go. John's here. John, would you like to have a few words before we go? Just to say, you'll be up for a live stream conversation, Skype live stream conversation. We can arrange it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Excellent. I'll have to shake you with that hand.
It's terrific. It's very easy to do. A great pleasure. Thank you again. And best of luck.